Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and we have arrived to the final episode of Netflix global phenomenon, Stranger Things. We have wrapped it up, finally. Finally wrapped everything up. Like I said, Happy New Year's to everybody. This is the first review of 2026 here on the KB Radio Network, but it is the final episode of Stranger Things. I hope that 2026 brings everybody a prosperous and joyous year, even more than what you received in 2025. Uh, Stranger Things. Stranger Things has been a wonderful, fascinating, frustrating, exhausting experience over the last 20, I'm about to say 20 years, but it's been 10 years and 5 seasons. And it's been joyous for me, going on this nostalgic ride that the Duffer Brothers have presented to us over on Netflix. I can honestly say that I find this show to be one of my favorite all-time shows. Is it absolutely perfect from episode 1 to this final episode that premiered on New Year's Eve? No. You had some episodes that weren't up to snuff. You even had a couple of seasons that weren't up to par. But overall, in its totality, I think this show did its job. And one of the biggest questions going into New Year's Eve before we crossed over into this new year: can the Duffer Brothers, can this cast, can Netflix deliver on a season finale or a series finale that is worth its weight in gold? I can say, me personally, I think it did. I think the season finale of this show, or the series finale, I keep saying season, which is the same thing, really. I think it delivered. I think this show wrapped up exactly how it needed to wrap up. I went to the theater to see it. I didn't stay at home and watch it on Netflix. I decided, me and the family, we all went to the theater to experience it on the big screen. And that may have played a part into my enjoyment level of the series finale, because I had a wonderful time in the theater watching it. It was very cinematic. It wasn't just a TV show they threw on the big screen. It felt cinematic. It felt like it deserved to be on the big screen. Scale and story, everything was right from from where I was sitting. And so I felt a little extra with this episode or movie, because it was 2 hours long. It was a good experience. Plus, you had a communal experience as well, because we had to go to the 9 o'clock show, because of the 7 o'clock shows, they were all sold out. They were filled. And so we couldn't go to the 7. And we just put our phones down for 2 hours to avoid spoilers and went for the 9 o'clock showing. I came into this after Volume 2, which didn't really land for me on Christmas Day. I thought it was decent, but, and let me apologize off front. If you hear banging and popping in the background, nobody's shooting at me. At least I don't think so, but it's fireworks and firecrackers all in the background. Everybody in the neighborhood is going crazy because it's New Year's. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, so everybody is going bananas with the New Year's celebration. So if you hear that, I apologize. I tried to soundproof as much as I can, but it is what it is. I wasn't gonna wait. I wanted to give a fresh review here, but Volume two. Volume two, it just didn't land. It didn't really set up the finale for me. I wasn't excited going into this final episode. I, Too many questions were raised. It was too many questions raised in volume two that I felt like, man, there's no way they can wrap all of this up in one episode, even a 2 hour movie. It feels like something was going to be left out. Introducing the wormhole element, introducing the possibility that Vecna isn't the big bad. He's actually a puppet or a vessel. How are we going to address that? How are we going to address the 11 and Kylie decision that was made, and how Hopper is going to address it? How is Holly's story gonna, come to a head here? It was a lot that was going on that I felt like, man, there's no way they can find a way to wrap this up and wrap it up to make sense. But they did. And my hat's off to the Duffers, man. I mean, this is their story. They know what they were doing. Good on them. It still doesn't add any points to volume two. Volume two still is the weaker of this season. This final season as a whole wasn't really all that good, just to put it plainly. It just didn't deliver as a final season. Now the final episode did. This final episode was, I mean, everything that I wanted. It was action packed. It was story driven. We had your emotional moments. You had your frightening moments. You had your the plan didn't go right moments and having to pivot. All of that was there in this final episode, and man, they did a marvelous job with it. My takeaways from this final episode, positive wise, I think the young actress who plays Holly, I think she is going to be a star. I think out of all of this cast, especially the young cast, and I'm including our group, with Mike and Will and Lucas and Dustin, I think that out of everybody, Holly is the one that's going to shine. I don't know what it is about her and her the way she portrayed this character. It tells me that she's going to be a big thing. And I'm not talking about in the Stranger Things universe because it's over. I'm talking about her as a performer. Really, really enjoyed her performance throughout this season. If it wasn't for Holly's arc, her story in this final season, this would have been a horrible season to me because everybody else's story I didn't care about. I did not care about 11 who took a back seat this final season. She had more to chew on in this final episode, but as far as the season is concerned, 11, she was in the back seat. Our group with Mike and Lucas and Will and Dustin, I didn't care about them. Now Will, yes, Will, because Will had a big arc. He was due. He was due because for 4 seasons, the first 4 seasons, he was nothing. He was more of a MacGuffin. Vecna took him over, kidnapped him in season 1. So everybody's trying to find Will. Season 2, he really didn't do much. It was more, he was just a vessel. He was the conduit, if you will, for this entity to really invade Hawkins. And finally, we get more of him having something to do and him as a character. I know everybody is up in arms one way or another about him coming out and all this here, but it was long overdue. It should have been happened, but hey, better late than never, I guess. But it was good to see that he had something to do this season. Mike, I really didn't have nothing to connect with Mike. I never did. Mike was never on my list of, oh man, I got to see what's happening with Mike in this show. Never. He never connected with me. He was actually kind of annoying to me, and I like Finn Wolfhard. I think he's an excellent actor. Loved him when he went and did it. He was awesome in it. He was amazing in it. I liked him. I liked him in Ghostbusters. But on this show where he made his name, I just did not connect with that character. It wasn't him. It was that character. It didn't work for me. This episode, I did. I finally had a connection with him. I actually liked him in this episode. I'm talking about the character Mike. It was he was humanized. He was somebody I can actually get behind. I never could get behind him, but they did it this go around. So good on him. Um, Dustin, I love Dustin. I love Dustin with Steve. You know, Dustin outside of Steve, I could care less. But Dustin with Steve, sign me up. My other takeaway, my other than Holly, is Henry, Vecna himself, the actor, Jamie Bowers, I think his name is, Jamie Campbell Byers. Awesome, awesome. Need him in more stuff. If they were to announce today that he was going to be the Joker in the DC universe, you would not hear an argument here, or any villain in that regards. Or we can change it up, give him something else. He doesn't have to play a villain because he was humanized, and I was kind of worried in this episode, like they were going to turn him, like try to redeem Vecna for a minute there. And I was like, oh, we can't do that. Don't do that. Don't ruin this show by redeeming the villain. That's the one thing that killed me with Star Wars. I'm talking about the latest ones with Kylo Ren. That drove me insane when they turned him and redeemed him, and he's Ben Solo now. Now he's fighting for good. Oh, yeah. Now I know Darth Vader did turn, but he turned at the end of Return of the Jedi. He turned at the end to save his son. We get that, but not Kylo Ren. That ruined everything for me, and they would have ruined it for me here if they would have turned Vecna. But when he turned, when he told Will, no, no, I am with it. Yeah, he's using me, but we need each other, And I was like, yes. I think I was the only one in the theater that cheered, who cheered in that moment, because I was excited. I'm so happy. Keep him the villain, forget that redeeming stuff. He's too far gone at this moment. He's done too much to redeem himself. And so I did enjoy that. But I loved the performance here. I loved how calm, how centered this character is, and is through the performance of Jamie. He was just phenomenal in this role. Phenomenal. He's one of the most chilling villains you would ever see, or whether it's on television or film. Find me one that's that chilling. I mean, he doesn't. You can strip away the magical element of his character, and he would still be creepy. He would still exact fear in you by his looks, by his the way he stands, how calm and proper he is. You know what I'm saying? He's just the perfect villain, and I would never take that away. That's the best quality of this show, was Vecna, and he is a worthy villain for our foes, man, because a villain like that, you imagine going up against a Doctor Strange in the MCU, not against 5 kids in Indiana, you know, and so it just adds that much more attention to it. But yeah, that was my biggest positive takeaways of this episode. As far as everything else, it it's not that it was bad, because like I said, I really did enjoy this episode. I thought it was a worthy ending to this story. But yeah, it was sappy. It was very cheesy, but that's what Stranger Things is. And I get a kick out of people who actually complain about that. I'm saying that, but it's not a complaint. It's the show. It's been like that from the first episode, and they kept that all the way through. So it's really par for the course for this show. But yes, it is cheesy. It is campy. You get those moments in these tense situations where the world is literally about to end, and you get a break with these emotional monologues between characters that kind of breaks the tension. And what makes the show special is the fact that, yeah, it kind of breaks the tension, but the tension is still there. It is not really broken. It's more like bent. It's not a broken tension. It's bent tension. And it's, as soon as the monologue is over, you're back in this tense situation. And it's rare. You don't see that in most movies. And when they normally break tension, it's broken. And it'll take about another 2 or 3 scenes to get it ramped back up again. But no, that it really keeps pace with the tension. Uh, Something that I know a lot of people probably going to complain about with this final episode that I didn't have a problem with personally is the rainbow and sunshine ending. It's everybody got a happy ending to this show. I know a lot of people are going to be upset, and part of me is upset. I thought throughout that we were going to get a sacrifice. I thought somebody was going to die for the cause, going to lay down a life for the cause. My theories were Steve. I thought Steve was gonna go down. He didn't. I thought that maybe Will would make the ultimate sacrifice, but he didn't. Everybody lived. Uh, the 11 aspect of it, I knew that she didn't die at the end. Making that big sacrifice, I knew something was off because it just didn't make sense, because we had already received a fake out earlier with the Vecna messing with Hopper's mind and causing him to shoot the tank, and we thought that he shot 11. Now, if it would have happened at that moment, it would have been epic. I was all in at that moment. I actually got emotional and got mad when I found out it was a it was a fake out. But yeah, if they would have did it then, it would have made sense. But once they did that fake out then, I knew that it wasn't going to happen. They weren't going to quote unquote kill her twice. So that was that. Now, with Hopper and Joyce getting engaged, okay, that's cute. Everybody going off and pursuing their dreams and all this here, the kids graduating and going off and doing what they do, living happy lives together. That's well, apart really. Yeah, that's all fine and good. It's sappy. It is bubblegum and rainbows, man. It is truly a sappy ending. But you know, I guess it kind of needed to do that. And I'm not mad at it. I would have preferred something different. I would have preferred a more realistic kind of ending where, like I said, somebody sacrificed themselves. Maybe the town was more receptive and knew what was going on. And that's the one thing that kind of bothers me with this show. Outside of the kids and their parents, or at least some of their parents, everybody is oblivious to what is going on. Still, and even at the end of this show, the whole town is has no clue of what took place. Even though the world literally split into four, and you had a military presence, and you had all this freaky stuff going on around the town, and nobody believed that the upside down or anything out of the norm was taking place around them. It just mind boggling because you go back to volume 2 when Robin was talking to her girlfriend, and she was trying to explain what exactly is happening, with Vecna and the Demigorgons and the Upside Down and all this other stuff. She didn't believe her. She was like, "Oh, you're on drugs," and I'm like, "Are you living in Hawkins? Do you not know what's going on? Children are coming up missing and all this other food. None of this is weird to you to make you think that something is off." It just blew my mind that nobody in the town is freaking out or is celebrating these kids for literally saving not only their town but the world. And I don't know. That's my biggest bugaboo with the show. My only thing. Is it a nitpick to a degree? Maybe it might be. It may be a nitpick, but I just can't get over it. I don't know. It just bugs me. I know that's a lot of story you have to dive into. You probably need a little more time to kind of flush out the rest of the town folk there. But I mean, come on, at least have the parents address it. The only parents that address it is the Whalers, Karen and her husband, because they were literally attacked by a demigod. And so they experienced, but up to that point, they didn't know, But whatever. Like I said, nothing that's going to take away from the show from me. That doesn't really take away. It's just something that I just don't understand that portion of the show because it's the whole town. Literally, the whole town was under quarantine with the military and all this other dark and freaky stuff that's going around. Another kind of I guess you could say a personal pet peeve. I felt that Linda Hamilton was wasted. Linda freaking Hamilton. Sarah Connor, man. I felt she was wasted. Now, when she was on screen throughout this season, it was money. It was beautiful to see her on screen. It was beautiful to see her a part of this show. I think she fit the show. Her character fit the show. But nothing came of it. That was the one open-ended thing that kind of came and went at the end of this episode. It was the military. It was her presence. Like, what happened? Oh, they just left, and that's the end of it. I guess that's what it is. They just left. Once 11, quote unquote, died, they had no reason to be there, and the Upside Down was blown up. But once again, that goes back to the town folk. Oh, the military left. Everything's fine and good now. Huh? It's nothing being addressed there. But I felt Linda Hamilton was wasted. I think she could have played a bigger role. And when you think back on episodes throughout this season where she wasn't present, and we got these long, drawn out, hour and a half long episodes where nothing really was happening, you could have had a little bit more of her character. But maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I could be reading into it too much, or just have a crush that I've been having on Linda Hamilton since 1984. So it is what it is. But in any event, other than that, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the action in this final episode where everybody got a chance to shine when they were in this other dimension or whatever it was, fighting the Mind Flayer. That was cool. It was cool to see the final showdown with 11 and Vecna. That was cool. um Joyce, Winona Ryder, being the one that to finally give the final blow on Vecna was so poetic and awesome. It just is no way I can say this was a bad ending. Just because of that. Because it all started with her. It all started with her not giving up, looking for her son after Vecna kidnapped her, Will, and all that she went through, and just her being there for Will throughout all of this and fighting, just being the one to give the final blow or blows to to Vecna was so poetic. I just everybody in the theater just clapped. They didn't clap for nothing else, but they clapped for that because it was well earned and deserved. That was beautiful, and that's pretty much all I can say about it. I did like it. I liked all of that. The emotional moments hit. All of it landed for me. It was a good ending, and it needed to end. these kids, these kids are eligible for AARP at this point. It's time to end. It's time to move on to bigger and better things. I think the job was done and it was wrapped up nicely with a bow. Stranger Things 5, the final episode, gets a letter grade of a B plus. Yes, I enjoyed it. As far as the entire series as a whole, it also gets a B plus. I like I said, I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it. I was emotional. I stayed at the end. I know it wasn't a post credit scene, but I just wanted to soak in because I know this was it. Even though I can always go back and watch it all over again, but it's nothing like experiencing it for the first time, or in this case, the last time, and knowing that this is it. It was just a beautiful moment, and it felt good to kind of soak that in, uh, and know that this is where I was at the end, and not watching it at home and being in a theater, it just made it a little bit more special. And like, yeah, I went and saw the final episode in the theater in the biggest glorious way it could ever go out, and it just made it more special. That's all I can say to that. But I want to know, uh, did you enjoy Stranger Things? Are you sad that is ending? Are you happy that is ending? Like, oh, it's about time. 10 years. 10 years. My kids were kids then. Now they're grown. They're around the same ages as the cast. So, it's crazy to think that. Starting off watching, I remember I started off watching it by myself. Uh, this is when Netflix just started doing the streaming thing, or it started ramping up in this show. Uh, around that time, I really wasn't on the internet that much, so I didn't get the viral vibe from it. I just started watching it. I'm like, oh, is it set in the '80s? I'm an '80s baby. Let me start watching it. I watched the half of the first season, and I was like, man, it's pretty good. And then the next day I started watching the other half of that season. I was like, man, that was awesome. I really did enjoy that, and it was on from there. And then I finally told my wife about it, and I think she started watching it. Yeah, she started in season 2, but she went back and watched the first season, and then collectively we watched season 2 together, and it was on from there. So I want to know, man. I really do. Are you gonna miss it? And uh, what are your plans for this new year? Do you have any big plans for 2026? I don't have any. I don't have any as of now, but things change as the days go on. But email the show. Let me know. Talk to me. KBRadioPodcast at gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Also, don't forget about YouTube. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show if you're listening on Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you so much for joining me for the Stranger Things finale review. Thank you all for 2025 support. And I expect you all to come back for 2026 because we're not going anywhere. We're still here. We're not doing the Stranger Things. This isn't the finale. This is merely the beginning. And so, everybody, thank you so much. Have a happy new year. I want you all to know that I love you. Continue to love everyone. And until we speak again, you all be blessed.